All right, good morning, everyone. It is December 9th, 2024, and we just had our XRP viral pump moment with Brad Garlinghouse doing the 60 Minutes interview. In this update, I'm going to give you my reaction, the 5 key takeaways, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then we are going to take a look at where XRP's at on the charts and where we go next from here. A little bit of a pullback, and this did not go as we would have liked it to, but we can't say that this isn't what we expected. A hit piece from 60 Minutes. They wonder why they're dying off and becoming irrelevant. And then if I could describe this interview in one word, it would be omission. To omit many facts and relevant facts to this story is exactly what 60 Minutes did with this interview. Now you can see the whiteboard behind me. We're going to get right on into this update. Everything is at zachrector.com, and I greatly appreciate your support. Let's get into it. Now, in my opinion, the real angle or spin that they were trying to put on this story, the reason why they even talked about this is because the mainstream media is still in panic and trying to come up with excuses for why it was such a massive Trump and red wave. Now, this whole spin fell short in this story because they had to admit that the super PAC that Ripple, Coinbase, and Andreessen Horowitz funded actually ended up electing more Democrats than they did Republicans. It was some 29 Republicans and 33 Democrats. And as Brad Garlinghouse so perfectly stated, right, all they were doing was educating the voters. And this was the people's will. The people voted for these politicians. The people voted for Donald Trump. The people voted for a massive red wave. But the people also did vote to elect some Democrats who, just happened to be with a pro-crypto stance as well. But the mainstream media, the establishment, and the old guard, they're still trying to come up with excuses for why they failed so massively in this election. Now, of course, the spin was that all of this money from Ripple, Coinbase, Andreessen Horowitz, and the entire industry, all of our money comes from fraud. And although, really this story had nothing to do with FTX, and if they were going to bring up FTX, we could have talked about the real influencing and peddling that was going on with FTX. But in fact, they bring up FTX just to put the spin that basically all money that's made in crypto is from fraud. Now, the SEC shill that they decided to fill in for that role was John Reed Stark, one of the worst. And you guys have already probably seen the clips now of him stating that every crypto is a security, and basically that the courts have decided overwhelmingly that it's just not even close, that it's obvious that all of these are securities. And then he goes on to say that no crypto assets, none of this has any utility. It's just for speculation and criminal activity. Now, here's the problem that they ran into, is you can't make Ripple and Brad look bad. You've never been able to make Ripple and Brad look bad. Now, where they've always been able to get us is they've always been able to point at XRP price action and say, yeah, see, XRP's lack of price action, that's the point that we're going to get you on. Ripple, we got nothing on you. Brad Garlinghouse, we got nothing there. But XRP, it's a dead project. It's not moving. It's not doing anything. Well, they couldn't ignore that fact, and they had to admit that XRP's pumped over 300% in the last month. And I've shown you guys on my chart the full swing from 49 cents right before the election up to $2.90 is actually a 480% swing. So the full move has been nearly 500%, but we'll take the 300% pump that they did have to admit in this segment. Now, as I stated, the big takeaway from this was what they omitted, what they left out. See, it's not that they missed this. This media company, they have all of the money in the world, all the resources, and clearly they went around and they got interviews from John Reed Stark and others. You could tell that they did, some research. They tried to dig in somewhat to put together this story. And so this is why I say they omitted these facts. And that was, really what was so frustrating about this interview. We understand that they weren't going to come on and say that XRP was the best thing ever. They did have to admit that it's grown tremendously to become the number 3 crypto and that it was up 300%. But they allowed John Reed Stark to get away with omitting that XRP got the ruling from Judge Torres that it was not a security. They, obviously John Reed Stark, maybe he's not aware of the utility of XRP, right? But they decided to omit both of those facts, and they included the story, the initial opening of Ripple being involved in this lawsuit with the SEC. But all they did was insert that little like 15-second clip of Brad explaining what the case was about, but then they didn't follow up at all with that lawsuit. They only allowed John Reed Stark to get his soundbite about all of the other court victories that the SEC has had, of course, leaving out the other victories in the Grayscale and other cases, the debt box case. You know, if we're going to talk about cases, John Reed Stark, why don't we talk about the debt box case where SEC lawyers were sanctioned for lying and fabricating evidence to put in front of the courts? If we're going to talk about court rulings and what's been happening, how can you omit the ruling that XRP is not a security? And how can you omit the other major victories that the crypto industry has had against the SEC? And of course, it's no surprise that he's going to leave out the fact of the SEC getting sanctioned and the major losses that they've taken in the debt box case and others. But for 60 minutes to put this spin that all of the money's coming from fraud, all of it is a security, leaving out the fact that we got the ruling from Judge Torres that XRP was not a security, and then not including any of the conversation that they had with Brad Garlinghouse where he got to explain the real world utility that XRP does have. See, what we come to find out here from Brad Garlinghouse is that they recorded a 90-minute interview. Like I said, if we tallied it up, I wouldn't be surprised if Brad got less than 5 minutes of actual airtime. After they interviewed him for 90 minutes, his initial segment was 13 minutes long, and then they did another 60 minutes overtime segment. There was another 5 minutes where they gave John Reed Stark even more time to spew more lies. And that's when he, went on to say that no cryptos have any utility, right? And so the key takeaways for me was, once again, this was an excuse by the mainstream media and the establishment for why Trump won once again. And an excuse for why it was such a massive red wave, but that fell short because, as we've stated, many Democrats were actually elected by these efforts of the super PAC that Ripple, Coinbase, and Andreessen Horowitz funded. And they better get ready because we're not going away, and we're not shying away. I love the fact how locked in Brad was. And you could see, that there probably was a little frustration there for Brad, but he was absolutely dialed in, and he did such a good job of keeping his composure and getting our message across that, yeah, we're not going to shy away. Yes, we were incredibly successful. Absolutely, we had a massive impact. And if your audience or anybody out there doesn't recognize that the crypto voters are very passionate about this issue, that yes, in fact, we are putting signs in our yard, that in fact, yes, we are wearing it on our sleeve. We got shirts. Merch page is on the way, by the way. Check that out in the next 24 hours. Yes, we are putting the signs in our yard. Maybe I'll have to add that to the merch page. We can get some signs because I'm kind of motivated. I almost bought some XRP just out of spite after watching that 60 Minutes interview yesterday, right? So nonetheless, here's what happened. 60 Minutes tried to put their spin. They drastically failed. And at the end of the day, Ripple, Brad, and XRP looked fantastic. Despite the fact that they left out or omitted those key details, this is at their own peril. This is the fatal mistake that the mainstream media continues to make over and over again. This is not a surprise for us. And then, of course, I'm going to show you guys the charts here next. The market maker magicians doing what they do best. They took advantage of this opportunity to not just dump XRP, but actually dump the entire market. So let's get on into that here next. Now, just real quick before I show you the charts, this was absolutely hilarious to see. 60 Minutes getting community noted on X. Check it out. So they posted this little 60-second teaser, Brad Garlinghouse asking to be regulated, saying, just give us the clear rules of the road, right? And then underneath it, we have readers adding context that they thought people might want to know. XRP is not a security. Absolutely love to see it, giving the mainstream media a little dose of their own medicine with the fact checkers, right? So right on into it, guys, here from Cassie Trades. Been liking her TA that she's been dropping lately. We're still working through the correction after that massive impulse, holding steady above the critical 0.236 fib retracement. This is a great reminder of why patience is key as the patterns unfold. And I need to say that one more time for the new people. This is a great reminder why patience is key as the patterns unfold. Nothing has been invalidated about XRP going to all-time high. Just got to insert that. The ABCDE triangle is showing signs of expanding further, and I've adjusted the trend lines to reflect the new formation. For now, my focus is still on the 0.236, and that's the fib retracement that's at the $2.31 level, and the 382 fib, which is at $1.94. I know everybody's obsessed with buying XRP at $2 again. I don't think it's coming through, but that's the fib level. The current price action suggests it's possible we've already seen the deepest pullback. Uh-oh, we may have already seen the deepest pullback? Whoopsies. However, let's be clear, this correction isn't over until XRP makes a new high. In crypto, anything can happen. While the current triangle formation with a 236 support is holding strong, we must also prepare for the market to invalidate the pattern and spike down to the 0.382. That's the price target under $2, right? As analysts, we plan for the pattern. As traders, we plan for it to be wrong. That's the balance you need to succeed. No changes to my targets for the next new high, but if XRP breaks below the 382, those projections will need to adjust. For now, I'm watching the triangle and staying prepared for anything. So here's a look at the chart, and like she says, you got the A, B, C, D, E correction here, and then you also have this ABC correction that could also play out. So there's two potential patterns that we're tracking. And if this is the A, B, C, D, E pattern, we've already made our correction. We're about to push back up. I guess you get one more correction in the E wave, and then we move higher. And then that's going to be our pathway to all-time high. If we are in the ABC correction, we are going to see a deeper pullback down to $2, maybe even down to $1.94 is that 0.382 fib. And so if you guys are looking to get another pullback, it may come in. I would not be holding my breath. That would be a fatal mistake, because remember what the folks said, at 80 cents, it has to go back to 50. So I'm going to sell off and take my profit at 80 cent XRP, and I'm going to buy back in at 50 cents. Whoops. Same folks came back around. You got to sell $1.95. Don't be greedy. Ripple's about to dump on us. It has to go back to 80 cents. Whoops. Shoots up to $2.90. And so Cassie trades being reasonable with her analysis right here, showing us what the markets are telling us, what the chart is telling us, that yeah, we could get a pullback to $2, but don't get greedy. See, folks think about being greedy as far as holding on too long. Well, folks also get greedy when they're trying to make entries and they're waiting for steep, big pullbacks instead of just taking what the market is giving you. And so if we look here on the XRP price chart right now, at this hour, XRP is at $2.39. And this is the chart that I'm working with. 161% pump, 5-day consolidation. 53% pump, 5-day consolidation. 126% pump, 5-day consolidation. And we did just do a little bit of a back test. This is a fake out. And I believe that, yeah, we could still see that deeper pullback into the $2 range, but it will not invalidate that we are moving higher, up above $3. And we have even targets going to $4 and beyond. You guys already know that deal. So this pullback to be expected. I mean, we were warning about this one, right? We said, hey, we've broken out. We're making our move towards $3. This could be very exciting. But I know we all want to be bullish and have a good time, but remember, these market maker magicians love to play us dirty, especially in the crypto space. And they not only took, XRP back, the market makers took the whole market back, including Bitcoin and the rest. So I've been saying any pullbacks that we get at this point is an absolute blessing. If you're still trying to stack your bags, you got to take advantage of it because we are moving higher. So with that being said, guys, those are my 5 key takeaways on the 60 Minutes interview with Brad Garlinghouse. I love the exposure. It is a net positive. Ripple, Brad, and XRP all look tremendous. The mainstream media is dying. They wonder why. And here's where we're at. A little bit of a pullback, very healthy. Everything is still holding strong, and it still tells us that we are moving higher. So if you guys appreciate our updates and the content that we bring to you guys on a daily basis, please make sure you are liking our videos. You have subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of them. And everything is at zachrector.com with quick links down below in the description of this video. Couldn't do it without your support, and I greatly appreciate you. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.